Alright, welcome to part 2 of our instructional video on creating a Stratocaster neck. So in this video I'm going to go over all of the different objects that we have to trace, what some of the things we're going to be omitting from our blueprint. So let's get started right now with our bottom piece. So this is kind of our main image that we're going to use to create our neck here. It's a bottom view of it. Here are the side views. So one important thing to note first is this piece here. We are going to omit that from our entire blueprint. That is on an older style of Stratocasters that doesn't match up with the one that we're making. We're also going to be omitting this channel right here where the truss rod runs through. You can see it from the side angle here. And it finishes up here. We are going to be omitting this little piece right here where the nut of the neck goes. And we are also going to be omitting all of our peg tuning holes up here as well. Alright, so let's get right into it. So the same thing applies with the way we traced our blueprints for our bodies. We're just going to use our curve tool. We're going to keep it in 2 degrees again. And I'm going to start right in the center here. So I'm just going to go around same way we did with our body models. I'm going to create a nice rounded arc here, and I want to make sure that I have as few control points as possible on the model. So anywhere where there's a straight line, I can really just run the entire length of it, and it should match up perfect. Until we get to the nut here. So we're going to put our final one in a straight line on the nut, and then after that we're going to put several going down, and you'll see why in a later video, because in our blueprint we're going to give this a curve going down, so we're going to need a lot of control points to make it a nice rounded edge, and then we can always delete them out after as well. So we only need a lot for this little section in here, and then on the other side as well will be right here, and then we can go back to just a normal amount that we would use. So I'll put 2 there nice and tight so I can make the corner, and then we're back to just spacing them out nicely up here. Alright, so although this area is straight here, I'm going to place one back a little bit earlier, and then same thing as on the other side, I'm going to add a lot of control points in here so that we can give it that nice cutoff that it has on the side profile. I'm going to carry on doing that all the way up until I get to the nut there. And then I'm just going to go down in a straight line. Same as on the other side. I'm also going to change color so it's a bit easier to see exactly what I'm drawing. So I'll go nice green, that's easy to see on here. So there are a couple more pieces that I want to trace on this bottom view. So the first is going to be, we drew the top section of our neck. Looking at it from the side profile, we just traced this line that runs all the way on the top here, and then we put all the control points so that we can move them down after, and then we're going to be flat there. So now I'm going to trace the bottom half, which is going to be right here. So I'm going to go ahead, turn control points on. Using the near tool, I'm going to trace it as close as I can up through here until I get to this first line down here. So I'm going to do that, add one there, and then I'm going to turn our near and our point tool off so that I can draw it freely without it snapping to other objects. And then I'm going to place one up a bit higher so I can get a nice rounded edge. And I'm just going to go all the way back down on this side. So I'm going to turn near and point back on now. And then I'm just going to finish my tracing all the way around. And finish it up there. So I saw that there was a small error over here, so I'm just going to go ahead, turn our control points on and fix that up. So I'll just snap that onto the curve there. Turn control points back off. So that's our bottom piece. Later on we're going to extrude that down and we're going to kind of chop it up into different pieces so we can draw surfaces between it. So now I'm going to do the bottom section of the head of the neck here. So again, I'm going to have a near and point on for now. And I'm just going to go around the head of the guitar neck and I'm going to trace the lines out again. So in our first instructional video, I did a simple square I drew, and then I moved it down and broke it up into a couple different pieces, connected the edges, and then drew a surface between them. So basically what I'm doing now is the exact same thing. We're going to move this piece down, and then we're going to connect it to the top as well. So now that we're at this point here, I'm going to follow this line, so I'm going to turn off near and point tools. So you can trace that line. Nice, and now that I get back here, I'm going to turn it back on. Go around. And finish that drawing off. So for now, that's all we're going to use for our bottom piece. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trace the side here just for a reference so that we can have a nice curve to look at later on while we're drawing. Alright, so as I said earlier, we're not going to have this little piece here. This is going to be part of the fretboard, so we're just going to disregard that for now. So I'm going to line it up with this piece, which here is the back of the neck. Go ahead and press enter. So that curve is done. So we're going to use that throughout this model to kind of guide what our curve should look like. I'm going to go ahead and trace the back. Go ahead and press enter. So that's going to be all we're going to need to trace for now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep the blueprint, but I'm just going to move it to a different layer. So I'm going to click the blueprint. I'm going to right click this layer over here. I'm going to move object to this layer. Just going to rename it blueprint. And I'm going to hide it for now. So it's really important to keep everything labeled nice and properly so it's easy to navigate around our blueprints and our models. So I'm going to rename this layer outline. And that's all we're going to do for this step. In the next step, we're going to talk about extruding our curves down and kind of connecting them all the way around.